If there's one thing you guys should know about me, it's that I'm a massive fan of the Resident Evil franchise. Resident Evil 8 might actually be the game of 2021 that I'm most looking forward to. Resident Evil 8 was announced and has received mixed reactions so far, but honestly, I think the game looks great, and will hopefully carry on the momentum that Resident Evil 7 built for the series. So without further ado, here is my 8 reasons why you should be excited for Resident Evil 8 Village. Number 1. The environment. Resident Evil 8 will be the first game in the Resident Evil franchise to be set in a winter environment. And what can I say? I'm a sucker for snow levels in video games. The snowy environment, set in a mountainous European village, helps to give Resident Evil 8 a desolate, remote, and isolating atmosphere. This game seems to be very heavily themed around snow and ice, and it will be interesting to see what they do with that aesthetic. This game contrasts the barren, winter landscape of the surrounding village with the decadent, gothic architecture of the castle halls that can be seen in the preview trailers. I think the developers at Capcom might have captured something special when it comes to the environment and setting of Resident Evil 8. Number 2. First person. Resident Evil 7 was the first game in the series to introduce the first-person perspective to the franchise. This really helps immerse the player in the environment, and helps the player feel as if they were there in that situation. Even though the third-person perspective is a franchise staple, and was pulled off extremely well in the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes, I believe setting the game in first person is a breath of fresh air, and can create some unique scenarios. It will be interesting to see what they do with this and how they improve on the framework that Resident Evil 7 laid. Number 3. Enemy type and werewolves. I don't know about you all, but in 2020 I'm pretty burnt out with zombies. I think that the werewolf type enemy looks to be an interesting inclusion. It will be interesting to see how they work this into the Resident Evil lore, no doubt. If I were to wager, the werewolves play aggressively and are quick, making them very hard for the player character to take down, and are best to be avoided when possible. I'm sure it can all be explained away by some BOW or virus, but I really don't care at this point. The molded in Resident Evil 7 were pretty creepy and downright disgusting, but the game still really lacked in the variety department. Just judging from the trailer alone, Resident Evil 8 should have a few more enemy types for Ethan Winters to combat in his upcoming trip to hell that Chris Redfield has arranged for him. Number 4. More personality and backstory for Ethan Winters. One of the main complaints I hear about Resident Evil 7 is that the protagonist, Ethan Winters, lacks personality. In my own opinion, I feel like they did a good job making Ethan a stand-in player for the character. Ethan is just your average software engineer with no formal combat training, thrown into a shitty situation where he must overcome the odds just to survive. Ethan had a few good one-liners that made his character more likable in Resident Evil 7, but they can greatly expand on him in the next installment. I believe Ethan can be made more likable by giving him more dialogue, maybe some flashbacks to further flesh him out. I think they'll be missing a huge opportunity if they don't make Ethan a more robust and memorable character in the upcoming game. Number 5. The graphics. The past 2 Resident Evil remake games showcased gorgeous visuals, and I believe that Resident Evil 8 will be the best looking Resident Evil game yet. This game is so intense that developers might not even be able to make it for Xbox One and PS4. Resident Evil 7 looks almost photorealistic on PC with 4K and maxed out settings. I can only imagine how amazing Resident Evil 8 will look on next-gen systems. The snowy environment is perfect for showcasing the visual prowess of Sony and Microsoft's next-gen consoles. While it sucks that previous-gen players might not get to experience this title, I think it will only set it up for success in the long run, as they won't have to hold back on this one. Number 6. More horror. Resident Evil 8 is without a doubt the most terrifying Resident Evil game yet, and rejoice because the developers of RE8 have gone on file saying that Resident Evil 8 will contain just as much horror as Resident Evil 7, and possibly more. While the molded were terrifying at times, they were also slow and kind of dumb. Having enemies that move quicker and have better AI will help instill a sense of dread that the molded in RE7 just can't live up to. This game may also be the most gruesome title yet. I can only imagine the things the developers will come up with to shock and terrify the player. Number 7. Improved user interface. The user interface seems to be cleaned up and improved over past Resident Evil games based on the footage provided by Capcom in the latest trailer. Not that the UIs were bad, it's just that this one seems to have the most fluid and streamlined UI yet. The user interface seems to draw inspiration from the Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 remake UIs, which were already near flawless in my opinion. Having a very solid user interface can greatly affect the player's enjoyment of the game, and it looks like they've nailed it with this one. Number 8. The return of VR. Resident Evil 7 is considered one of the best and most horrifying VR experiences on the market. There are countless videos on YouTube of relatives trying out PSVR with Resident Evil 7 and crapping their pants before making it too far into the game. To our good fortune, the developers at Capcom have said that VR will most likely be an added feature of Resident Evil 8, which would have been a huge missed opportunity if they had dropped VR support for this one. I can only imagine how incredible it will be to wander through the dark, snowy European woods and have something jump out at me in a heart attack-inducing manner. Alright guys, that does it for my 8 reasons you should be excited for Resident Evil 8. I stream a lot of Resident Evil on my channel, so be sure to subscribe if you're an RE fan. I will be streaming Resident Evil 8 Village the day it comes out, so keep an eye out for that. I will also have more Resident Evil 8 content coming as more information gets released. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like as this will help it get noticed and seen. Until next time, peace.